Hey everyone, good afternoon. I was about to say good morning. It's been a crazy day here, but we are afternoon officially. So
Yes.
I am Kimberly Solfridge. I am with the Kids Money Project, and I have Paula here with me today. Hey Paula, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic on this beautiful Wednesday. Paula Weiss with Talk Money with Paula, and it's so glad to be with you guys.
Well, hopefully you're doing better than I am because I literally was about to say good morning. I'm not sure what I did this morning that I apparently don't remember it, but
Well, the sun is shining, so maybe that's you're distracted.
maybe because God knows it hasn't done that in a while, don't we know?
Yeah.
But so, are you doing great today? We are here in the
Mhm.
Mommies and Money. I'm not doing real well. Maybe I should have you start this
Yeah.
out today.
Hi, guys. We're here today. I'm here with Kimberly, and we're here, Mommies and Money, and we're here to talk about women and complacency. So, a topic I think we're all aware of. We deny it, but it's there, and we kind of want to point it out and help you find a way to correct and move forward with some of these less than wonderful habits we have.
Well, we've been talking a lot about
Yeah,
why women are kind of deferring a lot of these financial decisions and stuff to their husbands or their spouses or
right.
partners. And it's one of those things that there's a number of different reasons, and we've covered a lot of them. Complacency is just another one of those reasons. If it's not broke, don't fix
Mhm.
it. That's the attitude that we'll take a lot of times. But sometimes maybe things are not quite as going as well as we might think or realize because we don't actually know what's going on. We're not involved in it, so
Mhm.
we don't know the details of it, and that's kind of the pure definition of complacency. So
Yeah, I went to go see exactly what it said. Google with women and complacency, and it was interesting. There was so many different takes on it, and it was more about income inequality or the gender gap of what we have versus the topic that we're discussing. It wasn't until later where I pegged it where how our first topic is here where they don't want to have to deal with the decisions of making money decisions.
mhm. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about this UBS report a number of times, and we pulled up some of the stats on the complacency part, and I'll just kind of run through a couple of what fell under that category. And there's 59% of women uh, like not having to deal with the decisions, which kind of scares me. I want to be involved in those decisions personally. It has to do with
Hmm.
me. I
Yeah.
I want some say.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
and then 57% have no interest, which,
Why?
well,
Why?
I get maybe not having an interest necessarily in finance or in money or
Hmm.
numbers or something like that. And, if we were talking about basket weaving or something like that, I'd be like, well, then don't do it. But we're talking about money. We're talking about your finances, your livelihood,
Your
and
future.
yes, your future. And
Hmm.
so you need to take some interest in that, obviously. It doesn't have to be your end all be all, what you look at all the time, but you need to know what's going on in your finances. And so, not being interested in it is just not really an option because
Right.
what if that other person one day is not there anymore?
Right.
I
Hmm.
mean, we just look what we just lived through, and well, technically we're still living through. We're not through it yet. You know, there are a lot
Right.
of
Let's
people
go.
out there that went to bed one day with not thinking about this and woke up the next day in a
Right.
completely different situation. And that is not the
No,
time you want to be trying to figure these things out.
no, it really doesn't work.
Right.
So until we get better, and then they expect spouses to make the decision. So, what other part of your life do you want your husband or your spouse to make that decision for you, or any decision, and to defer money to a spouse? I think is not good for you for your future.
Yeah, and 49% said that they expect their spouse to make the decisions. And so I want to make my own decisions.
Yeah. Or be part of the decision making because you
Right.
can't say it's wrong if you don't partake in a discussion. You can't come off defensive if you didn't decide to partake when those discussions needed to happen.
Mhm.
And I guess here I'll say, "Ah, I want to be taken care of. Will you please take care of me?"
Yeah, and that was a high percentage,
Yeah,
47.
7%. Yeah,
Yes.
sorry, don't want to be disrespectful, but it's like, okay, guys, reality is you're going to be taking care of somebody else and yourself, and
Well,
you need to make sure.
we all want to live in the fairy tale and be taken care of. That's great and all, but the reality is the possibilities that there's going to be a day where, we've talked about it being suddenly single,
Hmm.
and not necessarily because of a divorce or something. There are a number of reasons. What if the person's just incapacitated for something?
Right.
They're in the hospital, they had a stroke, they had a heart attack. They're not gone, but they don't have the ability to take care of these
Right.
things right at that point. You
Right.
need to know what's going on for your
Hmm.
sake and for his. I mean, this is not, again, the time to be trying to figure this out. You may not have the ability to ask questions at that time.
And when you're emotionally drained of dealing with a hospital or dealing with an illness, and you don't even know where to start, and that makes everything even more difficult. So now's a good time. If there's nothing going on in your life and a reset for 2021, this would be a good time to kind of look at where you are and make this part of your New Year's resolution
Oh,
to be
absolutely.
a little bit, no, not a little bit, to be active and understand where you stand financially. This is has to be an all or nothing game. You can put your toe in, but you need to engage and be part of it to be able to correct anything or help anything grow. And you need to make sure that your voice is heard in your relationship.
Right. Well, and it shouldn't be all one person's voice. You're in this together. A marriage is two people and you work together. These decisions should be
Hmm.
made together and the plan should all be figured out together. And so, but the thing is you need to know what it is
Right.
going on. So, today we wanted to focus a little bit more on, how do you start? Maybe you're finding yourself in the situation where you're not 100% sure what all you've got, where things are. So actually that's the best place to start is let's go find stuff. So first of all, you have your just not daily, but I guess monthly bills, so to speak. I mean, you have your electricity bill, your utilities, your
Right.
the cable bill, you have the mortgage payments, you have maybe car loans, you have all these different things that you
Hmm.
pay every month. Go find these things, find them, whether the uh, bills come to your house, by mail, which, give or take, today it could be about 50-50 on whether or
Right.
not. You
Hmm.
may have some come to the mail, you may have some come through email. Whose email address are they going to? Find
Yeah.
find where those bills
Yeah.
are. Have a system in place. If they're coming through email, make sure you both have access to that email, or make sure they're coming to an email that
Both
or
of you have access to.
right. I mean, you just want to make
Hmm.
sure you have access to them if, again, a person is incapacitated and can't get to them, whether it's having the login information or whatever,
Right.
having a separate email address for them all to go to. But
And don't panic if you can't find all your bills, because if you're like me, all my bills go into my credit card. So I'm not looking for the gas or the electric or any of the incidentals, and then everything's on the credit card, and then you can check through that also. So don't be concerned if you don't see some of those other bills coming through the mail or through the email.
well, and these are all bills that probably should be checked, certainly credit
All
card
the
bills.
time, don't you think?
Yeah, credit card bills
Yeah.
definitely check monthly, but I mean, I look at, my utility bills and stuff. In fact, I know right now there's a lot of people in our neighborhood that are complaining about the gas bill was, 2 and 3 times what it was the previous month,
Oh,
and
wow.
a couple of people have found that their meters were read wrong and things like that. And
Mhm.
again, if you're not checking,
You don't know.
you may get and it may be an innocent mistake,
Hmm.
it's just somebody misread something or typed in a number
Right.
wrong or whatever. But these things happen, and if you're not looking, what if you paid an $800 bill because it went straight
Right.
to your credit card and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, the
Hmm.
bill's run
Yeah.
about $100. Where did 800 come
Yeah.
from?
Who's tapping into my line? Yeah.
Yeah, and
They've had a good time.
sadly that happens.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
well,
Yeah.
we talked about my Amazon thing. Somebody
Hmm.
tapped into my
Yeah.
Amazon account, and it
Yeah.
was,
That's,
shy of
yeah.
$500, but that was $500.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have thought twice. It just happened to have been the time that you had an opportunity to look at it. And then once you decide you've gathered all your bills, you need to gather what income is coming in. your what your husband's making or your spouse is making or what you are making. If there's any additional income and supplemented money that comes in, need to know that, making sure everything is working well, that they're taking your taxes and they're taking your health insurance out and everything is the way it's supposed to be. And you can, look down and say, wow, I'm doing really good, or maybe I need to hone my skills and look for another job. But make sure you know what your income is coming in.
Well, and hopefully you already know that because hopefully you're budgeting. You should have a
Oh,
budget.
budget.
Yes, you know me. You should
That
have a
B
budget. So
word.
you
Yeah.
should know what's
Yes.
coming in and what's going out.
Hmm.
And there should be nothing left at the end of the day because everything should be assigned and where it should go. So,
Correct.
you
And I
know,
think living on credit cards now versus the way, I'm not going to admit it, growing up and actually going to the bank to cash your paycheck and having little envelopes to put it in to make sure you had your rent and your TV or your mortgage payment. Having a credit card, there's a disconnect. It almost makes feel that money is not real
well,
and
even the
it's an
bank,
ongoing.
we
Yes.
do online banking now. So, how often do you actually see money? Very, very seldom. I can't even tell you the last time I actually saw a bill or
Yeah.
coins.
Yeah.
I really can't tell you.
Yeah.
And especially with COVID, though, so many places actually won't take them now.
Yeah.
So
Well, they now have change. They found some change to give us back. Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so we've talked about all the bills and stuff like that, finding that income. Hopefully you got that budget. If not, come talk to me.
Yep. And then I'll
But
finish the rest of it. But the really important part is make sure you know where your investments are
mhm.
and how you're getting those statements. But what I was going to say is making sure you know where your legal documents are. So, God forbid your honey doesn't make it home. Do you know where the will is? Or better yet, do you have a will? And even a better question is, when was it written? Because if it's more than 10 years old, chances are the judge is going to say it's invalid. There's been too many life events during that time. So
I can vouch for that.
good time to look at it. Make sure your life insurance policies are there. Confirm no money has been taken out of it, that everything is the way it looks on the policy. Make sure the beneficiaries are correct. And in Texas, and you can get it online, there's a lot of places to check. Make sure you have all your directives, your healthcare directives. Make sure uh, your husband knows or your spouse knows, or God forbid something does happen to them, if they want to be buried differently or what they want. You need to know those things. And this is a good time to have that conversation.
And maybe let your kids know too
Oh,
at that
very
same time.
important. Very important that you have that conversation. I had a client who said we had two folders, one for mom and one for dad, and they had all their medical papers, but within them, the mom and dad made sure they knew what they wanted to do when they passed, so there would be no distress and no fighting and no, if difficulties. Was their wishes, and that they, abide by their wishes. Important stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, and I can actually vouch for I've unfortunately I've lost both of my parents, and one uh was very much had all of their stuff together, and it was something that we knew was coming. So we did have an
Mhm.
opportunity. Now you don't always get that opportunity,
Right.
but we're fortunate that we did at least have some opportunity. Now the good thing was we actually didn't need the time because she was so great with how she had it laid out and
Mhm.
had already told me where everything was. So it was just more of a make sure time that we had.
Mhm.
But when my father passed, it was very unexpected. I mean, I saw him the day before, and then the next evening I was getting a phone call from a sheriff. And not only did I
Mhm.
not know where everything was, I love my father, but not necessarily the greatest with like a filing system or keeping things.
He had his own filing system. Come on,
He
Kimberly.
did. He had his own filing system. And so now, fortunately, most of it was there, as some of it wasn't, but most of it was. But it took a long time to be able to just go through everything, figure it out. And some of it I didn't figure out until I got a phone call.
Mhm.
So, and then it was a matter of going and verifying the debt
Right.
actually exists. I've got to find out. And then, you mentioned the will
Mhm.
earlier. his will, he had one, but unfortunately it was old enough that the court did deem it too many life events had taken place. And instead of being able to go right in and be able to take care of things, I had to wait 4 months, pay probably close to at least $2,000 additional on
Mhm.
top of just the other fees you're going to have involved with that.
Right.
But probably I'd have to add it up to know for sure. But I would say close to 2,000 in investigations that had to go through, and just the time factor. It was four
Right.
months later before they finally deemed, making me the administrator.
Right.
And so there I had to deal with all these people in the
Mhm.
meantime who legally couldn't talk to me
Mhm.
because I
Right.
wasn't the administrator or the executor.
Right.
And so that's a big one on, I definitely go look at that. If you haven't done that in a while, or if you haven't looked at it in a while, get that
Do it.
updated.
Yeah, and make sure your directives are updated because Texas changed their healthcare directives within the past 2 years or so. So just make sure that's done. And don't have the paperwork in your wallet that this is what I want, because it won't hold up
Yeah.
in court. And if you don't have a will, I'm going to post on Mommies and Money and Talk Money with Paula, the website to Travis County Probate Court. Not me, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a CPA, it's public knowledge, but the reality of what happens to you as a spouse, if especially if there's children from a former marriage involved, or even your own kids, what happens to you if there is no will? And I don't want the court deciding for me
Right.
my legacy.
Yeah, you never want governments involved in your business
No.
if you can help it.
So what do you think? Do you think we opened their eyes? Do you think that was a wow?
I hope so. Well, we gave them
Okay.
homework. They got stuff
Yes.
to go do.
Yeah.
If they don't already know it, you know what you need to go look for,
Hmm.
and literally just get it all together. Know where it is,
Yeah.
and two, just have that list. If you have a budget, look at that budget. That way you have actually a really good idea of what you're looking for, because everybody's are going to be a little bit different. It's a particularly thing, a lot of people are obviously your utilities and things like that are going to be very similar. But when you start getting into insurance and things like that, people have different types of insurance. I mean, if you have recreational vehicles, you're going to have insurance on all of those.
Right.
You're going to have a lot of different things. Healthcare is definitely one. You want to make sure that you know what's going on. In fact, I remember when my husband's grandfather passed away,
Yeah.
we weren't entirely sure what was going to happen with her health insurance, because it was through, he was a police officer in Indiana. And so they were on this pension that it included their health insurance.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden it was like, okay, what
Now what?
happens with the health insurance? Anyway,
Right.
now it was a matter of a phone call, but it was all of a sudden, ooh, we need to find out because we don't know.
Right.
So if you can know all that ahead of time,
It
do it.
helps.
Yeah, make your
Absolutely.
life simple. There's
But
no reason.
make your legacy, your children or whomever else, because God forbid something happens with you and your husband. So
Mhm.
think of it, it's not just about you, but it's about whomever else is going to be part of your legacy to make sure it goes smoother, as I'm dealing with that right now. So on that note, we will check in with you to make sure that you're doing it. We'll send out some, reminders that we expect to see some homework and to at least them. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself at Paula at talkmoneywithpaula.com. I know where I'm at.
See, you're like
Or-
me.
yeah.
It's been a
Or
long
Kimberly,
day.
it has been a long day. Or Kimberly, what's your email address, my dear?
Well, you can reach me through the Kids Money Project at Kimberly at thekidsmoneyproject.com. And that is kids with a Z instead of an S. So
Mm-hmm.
don't forget that. But also, just to kind of reiterate one other thing in these
Oh,
whole
yes.
conversations, also talk to your kids about these
Yes.
types of things, and not necessarily what yours are, though you should do that as well. But as your kids are growing up, let them understand a lot of these processes and stuff, which obviously is what I focus on. So,
Yeah.
but you don't want to throw them into the deep end of the water. You can
No.
gradually introduce these things. And I realize some of these conversations are not the most fun. That's why we don't tend to have them sometimes. But you really
Mhm.
don't want to find yourself in the situation of never having had these conversations and
Right.
now they're in the deep end of the pool and no way to know
To
because
get
they
it.
don't know how to swim.
You know what I forgot to mention?
Mm.
Besides giving them water floaties, um, our book club.
Oh, yes. So
Yes.
that was our big announcement. We are actually going to start a book club. So we have not come up, maybe that's what we need to do. We need to ask people for a clever name for the book club
Mhm,
because we're kind of stuck with the name. So right now it's just kind of like, you know, well, we wanted to use the word thrive because that's what we're looking to do is
mhm,
thrive in this world. And but something, a women's financial or book club just doesn't have a great ring to
mhm.
it.
Yeah,
So if you have suggestions for that, maybe toss them in
yeah.
to the comments or something for us. But no, we are going to start a book club. We are going to have 2 different nights that we have meetings. We're going to do kind of an AM and a PM. And
Great,
tell me if I'm wrong here, but I believe our first one is February 17th,
great.
which is a
Morning. I don't know. I'll
Tuesday.
look. Yeah, I think it's a Tuesday.
Yeah,
Yes.
Tuesday. I'm getting confused on Tuesday and Wednesday,
Okay. And then,
and that's at 10 a.m.
yes,
And then the following week, so it'll be the third week in the mornings on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. And then the fourth week will be on Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. And that'll be the same book. It's just hopefully we can catch people that if they're working during the day and can't come to that one, maybe they
hmm,
can come to the evening one and vice versa. You're welcome to come to both if you really want to. We would love to
yeah.
see your pretty faces there.
Hmm.
So, but do you want to tell them which book it is for this one so anybody that's watching can go ahead?
Oh, sorry. That's pretty rude. Brave, not perfect. And I had mentioned this before, and this is a gal who tells the story of how women from the time that they are birthed are treated differently, and which is part of our issue as we grow up. We don't go to take the risks. We don't go to get the accolades. We want to be perfect and be caring and giving, and how that impacts our ability to make money and the careers that we choose and how it affects our retirement, because if we don't make enough money during our working years, our retirement's not going to be the same as our male. So it's a good read. It's a fast read. She also has a TED Talks um, video that was really very good. But I think it'll give you some insight and maybe help you understand that you're not a victim. It's happened, and now that you've addressed it, how you make it better, and how you grow forward and be brave. Not perfect.
Absolutely. Well, and I'll tell you, her TED Talk was so powerful that I stopped the actual video in the middle because of something she said, and I realized I was doing it that day. I stopped the video and went and did it, and
Yeah.
then came back and watched the rest of the video. So,
Hmm. So
powerful speaker, writer. So, we're going to read her book. So, come join us in February for those 2 dates, the 17th and the
right.
23rd. And of course, look in the group. You'll see the what do you call that event? Or
Yeah,
yeah,
the event it should be, and then look for our book club, and then we will see you next Wednesday, same time,
yes.
same place.
We will see you then.
Have
Everybody
a
have a
good one.
great rest of your day.
Stay healthy. Bye,
Yes.
guys.
Bye.